president, of course, on Tuesday was taping an interview with 60 Minutes, and he walked out on that interview, and he was upset, had a lot of back and forth, and in fact, released the entire unedited version of the interview, which, of course, doesn't have CBS News all that thrilled today. Joe Biden, meanwhile, he stepped off the campaign trail, had his old boss, former President Obama, out in Philadelphia yesterday campaigning for him. So it's Trump versus Biden tonight here in Music City, a 90-minute face-off.
All right, so let's talk about the format. That is something that's been a hot topic as we continue to talk about the presidential debates, as we continue to talk about Biden versus Trump, even Harris versus Pence. We kind of had that comparison there of what these debates were going to be like. What do we know about the format tonight? And Kristen Welker, NBC correspondent, will be moderating this debate.
Yes, Kristen Welker's moderating, African-American woman, second African-American woman to moderate a presidential debate. And President Trump has already criticized her in his Facebook posts where he released the entire 60 Minutes interview that he walked out on Tuesday today. He criticized Kristen Welker, saying that she's even worse than Leslie Stahl of 60 Minutes. So she'll have to contend with someone who's already criticized her before the debate even starts. So tonight, 90 minutes, they have changed the rules slightly. The idea is the debate is divided into sections, and at the start of each section, each candidate will have an opportunity to make their comments uninterrupted. In fact, the microphone for the other candidate will be turned off. That's a big change. You might remember at the first presidential debate, Aaron, there was a lot of crosstalk. There was a lot of talking over each other. Chris Wallace struggled to maintain control. And so they have modified the rules. The microphones will be off in the beginning. And that could play into what President Trump's advisors at least want him to do. And that is to let Joe Biden talk. They want him to perhaps make a mistake. One of the things that the Trump campaign has emphasized for months now is that Joe Biden lacks the energy, lacks the ability to be president of the United States. And so they would like for President Trump to step back, not talk over him, and allow Biden to, in their view, be exposed for someone who's not prepared to do this job.
Devon, real quick, I want you to take a step to your left for me. We want to be able to see you. Other way. I guess that would be your right. There you go. All right, a little bit. right there. All right. So this
I'm getting like no return of you, Aaron, but it's all
well,
good here.
Trust me, you don't want to see me right now. You only want to see yourself.
Okay.
The muting of the microphone is something that, if you followed social media during the first debate, was something that was no doubt a hot topic. Why do you think the Commission on Presidential Debates thought that the last one would be the perfect time to use that button that everybody on Twitter wanted, that mute button?
Well, look, Aaron, keep in mind we had 70 to 90 million people watching. We'll have tens of millions watching tonight. It's not useful to voters if these men are talking over each other, right? Like, it is only useful if this actually is a debate. If Kristen Welker can throw out questions and these men can state their positions, and the American people who've not voted can see their real differences. And there was a lot of discussion about whether or not there should just be a mute button. Obviously, that's very controversial. Obviously, that's not in what was negotiated initially between these campaigns. They spend a lot of time with lawyers going over the rules with the Commission on Presidential Debates before signing up for all of this. But these are unprecedented circumstances where the campaign is different. These candidates are not out as much as they used to be. So these debates are very important, and we just need to be able to hear what they're going to say. I mean, these are two men who they were very aggressive with each other last time. We need to be able to hear the answer.
I think some of those same things will happen tonight, Taman, as well, as we start talking about specific topics. And one of those topics I'm interested to know if you're hearing will be brought up is the nomination process of Judge Amy Coney Barrett, which today was voted on. All Republicans, 12 Democrats didn't show up, so it was a no vote of 0. It will now move forward, will this vote? Do you expect current events like that to be brought up tonight?
Oh, I do, definitely. And one of the questions I think Joe Biden will face is about court packing. In his 60 Minutes interview, his sit-down airing on Sunday, he was asked about court packing and whether or not Democrats would add more justices is essentially what that is. And he said he'd like to have a commission, or he'd like to have a group to study that. So that's a little bit of movement. Remember that Joe Biden was in the Senate for 4 decades and, of course, vice president of the United States he's an institutionalist. It's probably not in his blood to expand the Supreme Court from 9 justices to 12 or whatever it would be. But that's a nod, though, to his left, right? There are a lot of progressives who are very upset about Republicans reversing themselves, the standard that they set in 2016, saying that Barack Obama could not appoint a Supreme Court justice because it was an election year, and now Ruth Bader Ginsburg dies, and President Trump, of course, has appointed Amy Coney Barrett, and she looks to for that final vote coming next week. So I do think that that'll be an issue. I think also President Trump's taxes will be revisited. The New York Times reporting that he has an account in China, so that's something that'll be interesting. And I think that story that that's unproven about Hunter Biden and Ukraine and a laptop, a story that Rudy Giuliani, President Trump's lawyer, was pushing. So I think we'll see all of that in addition to lots of talk, of course, about COVID.
I think healthcare, COVID, obviously are going to be a top talker, if you will, Taman. Let's talk about what you're working on today as far as story-wise. If you're joining us for the first time, we've got journalists all across the country. Taman actually works in Chicago at WGN, so you'll be able to watch his coverage tonight there in Chicago, as well as on News Nation nationwide on WGN America. What are you working on today, and what are you hearing from people on the streets, as well as maybe some organizers there for this final debate?
Well, so we're doing a curtain raiser. We are setting the stage here in Music City and telling everybody kind of what to expect. And so I'll be doing that and providing that service for all of the Nexstar stations across the country. And then we'll have a debate wrap. We'll show some highlights on people's late local news. The thing that we have to keep in mind is this is pretty late for a presidential debate. You know, the polls have been pretty stable. They've shown a Biden advantage nationally, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 points consistently for a while. So for President Trump, he wants to go on offense. He wants to change the trajectory of the race. And it's getting late. He's running out of time. We're less than 2 weeks until the election day. So he needs to be aggressive. He needs Joe Biden to stumble. And then, of course, he needs to continue to campaign and continue his strategy of reaching out to voters across the country. So very high stakes. We didn't get 3 presidential debates. We only got 2 this time. So that adds to the importance of tonight.
Finally, before you go, what do you know about the crowd and if there are going to be social distancing in place, and how will the 2 candidates be separated?
So they will once again be separated. They will not shake hands. That's important because one of these men will be president of the United States. And so you don't want them both sick. And I can tell you that everyone involved, even us, we're not even in the venue, but had to take a COVID test and get screening. And so we have these special wristbands that show that we are clear. They're taking the health precautions very seriously. There's still only a few dozen people allowed inside the venue. Usually you might have hundreds at a presidential debate. One big difference is people will be required to wear their masks. They were asked at the first debate to wear masks, and as the story goes, the Trump family decided they didn't want to wear their masks. This time, though, if you don't wear your mask inside the debate hall, you'll be asked to leave. So that's a safety precaution. And then, of course, President Trump and Vice President Biden were asked to take COVID tests.
Taman Bradley, thank you so much. Appreciate you taking the time live out of Nashville. Again, you can watch his coverage on WGN America on News Nation. We start at 7 o'clock. That debate starts at 8 o'clock. We appreciate you taking the time, my friend.
My pleasure, Aaron.
All right, Taman. Again, very big night, really for everybody in the country. Tens of millions of people have already voted. I'm pretty sure they're going to be tuning in, as will the other tens of millions who have not voted yet. So it is a big night as we are 13 days away from the next presidential election, the second and final debate, President Donald Trump against former Vice President Joe Biden. Again, you can watch it on WGN America on News Nation. We get our coverage started at 7 o'clock. I'm Aaron Nolan. Have a great afternoon.